Today, I'm going to show you how to create a paperback book cover from scratch. I've already printed and cut this book. It's all ready for binding. Now, let's get started with measurements. First things first, let's measure the dimensions. This book is about 14 centimeters wide and 21 centimeters long. For those who prefer inches, that's roughly 5.5 by 8.3 inches. Now let's talk about the most important measurement, the hinge, or the spine of the book. This is where all the pages come together, so getting this right is crucial. We'll measure this in centimeters because precision is key here. For this book, the hinge measures 2.1 centimeters. To make sure the book isn't too tight or hard to open, we'll add a little wiggle room, an extra 0.2 centimeters. So 2.1 plus 0.2 gives us a total of 2.3 centimeters for the hinge. This small adjustment makes a big difference in how well your book opens and closes. Let's get started by creating a blank canvas that measures 8.5 by 13 inches. Make sure the guides are visible to help with alignment. Here's how. Go to File, then Settings, and make sure Show Rulers and Guides is turned on. Next, let's convert the hinge measurement of 2.3 centimeters to inches. I'll type 2.3 centimeters into a quick converter, and there we go, it's about 0.91 inches. Here's how I'm going to mark that on the canvas. This side of the ruler shows inches, so I'll drag a guide to exactly 0.91 inches. Zooming in helps us place the guide as precisely as possible. There we go, 0.91 inches. Now let's zoom out. Next, we're going to create a vertical rectangle to represent the spine of the book with a width of 0.91 inches. I'll grab a shape, resize it to match our spine measurement, and because we've set up our guides, it'll snap perfectly into place. Now, I'll center the spine on the canvas, and thanks to the guides, it snaps right into position. Here's an added tip. Before committing to your final design, always do a test print to make sure everything lines up perfectly. I'll download this file as a PDF in CMYK color mode, which is what is used for print. Then I'll select the page I want to test print. I'll set the page size to 8.5 by 13 inches and make sure the layout is set to landscape. Since it's just a test, we don't need high quality or color printing. I'll also only print on scrap paper. Make sure double-sided printing is turned off too. And that's it. This quick test will let us check if the spine is exactly 2.3 centimeters before we move forward. All right, I've got my test print here. So let's measure it and see if the spine width is spot on. There we go, it's exactly 2.3 centimeters. Now let's grab the book and check how the thickness fits with the spine size we just printed. Notice that I'm not using any binder clips while doing this. That's super important. If you clamp the pages down with clips, it could make the binding too tight and the book won't open smoothly. See how it lines up perfectly? This is exactly what we want, a snug fit without being too tight. Now that we know the measurements are correct, we're ready to head back into Canva and start designing the full book cover. First, let's give the hinge some color. You can choose any color you like, but for this example, I'm going with this. And remember, you can also change the color of the paper background to suit your design. Next, I'll add an image that I prepared earlier. If you have your own image, you can easily import it into Canva by uploading it. Or if you'd like, you can design something entirely from scratch. Totally up to you. Now let's talk about text. All the text elements are editable, so you can add titles or anything you want on the page. Since I've placed a dark tone for the front cover, I'll change the background color of the paper to white. This creates a nice contrast, which is really helpful when it's time to cut the cover. The edge where the dark meets the light will act as a guide for trimming away any excess later. As you get more comfortable with cutting, even the faintest contrast can work as a cutting guide. As long as there is a slight color difference, you'll be able to follow the line with ease. If you'd like, you can adjust the guides to reduce the size of the excess border so you don't end up cutting too much off the sides. Here's another tip. You can group all the elements in your design. This makes it super easy to resize everything as a whole instead of doing it one by one. Now let's zoom in for a closer look. See how the front cover design overlaps the hinge? That's not what we want. So I'll move the front cover design below the spine layer. Just check your layers here and make sure the hinge is on top of the front cover design. To add text to the spine, I'll ungroup the elements and copy this text from the front cover. Then I'll duplicate it, rotate it 90 degrees, and snap it perfectly into place using the guides. This makes sure the spine text is centered and easy to read. For the back cover, you can use the same steps as the front. Don't be afraid to get creative with your design. Canva has tons of free elements and backgrounds you can use to customize your book cover. There are even pre-made book templates you can use as a starting point to make things easier. If you're looking for a leather texture, for example, just go to Elements and type it in. Once you find something you like, you can scale it up and see how it looks on your front and back cover. Your imagination is the limit. Don't forget to copy the spine and place it right in the center of your canvas. Then adjust the color to match the rest of your design. You can experiment with textures, fonts, and layouts until you're completely happy with how it looks. Here's an example of what I came up with. I used a fabric texture I found on Canva, added some text from a previous design, and changed the font and positioning to give it a fresh look. And here's a fun idea to try for those of you designing a book series. You can play with the design of the spine so that the text creates a seamless, readable pattern when the books are placed together on a shelf. Something like this. Just make sure the size of each spine is accurate to keep everything aligned. With so many options, you can create a book cover that's truly unique.